Hey Clear Lake peeps, Ross England here. Clear Lake Guide Service with your conditions and a little bit of fishing report for Clear Lake for July, the week of July 15. I'm sitting out here this morning just waiting for somebody to show up. Fished a little bit yesterday, fished after our fishing report last week, and this has been a real interesting summer, and it's going to continue to go that way, I think. So got one of our locals over here putting his boat on the ramp. So water's all over the board. I mean, I didn't find very much water yesterday that I really like the looks of. There's some kind of algae all over the place, you know, whether it's this stuff that's right here, which is kind of a light coffee color, to stuff that's, you know, the floating green stuff on the surface, to the algae that looks like feathers floating through the water. Some of that stuff just flat makes it tough to fish. You know, especially if you're trying to fish any lighter baits, all of that algae kind of groups up on the line and starts pulling. You really kind of lose, especially if you're fishing a little bit deeper, you kind of lose the feel for, you know, what your bait's doing. You have to kind of depend on the fish to just grab it and swim off with it. And so, water conditions, algae all over the place. Any wind that comes up is going to be a blessing because it's going to stir it up and move it around. The best thing that I can tell you is move around. There's clearer water somewhere. The entire lake isn't covered up. It's just there's a lot of acreage that, in my mind, I just don't like to fish in. So it seems like the center portion of the lake is in better shape overall than the ends of the lake, like up here in the Lakeport area or down below Rattlesnake, down in the Redbud Arm, down in that area. Seems like if you concentrate, you know, about halfway down the Rattlesnake Arm back, Monitor Point up and around the Narrows, the water's pretty good shape. At least it's the best shape that is around. Clarity, I don't think I saw anywhere that I could see more than about 1.5 feet. Water temperature as of the last couple days out, it's starting out above 80 and getting up to 84, 85 degrees. I'm sure that if you're in an area with a lot of algae growth, you know, a real thick blanket on the surface, you might get some surface temperatures up in the high 80s. Definitely not good for the fish. So again, I'll tell you the same thing I told you last week. You know, try to avoid putting these fish in the live well just for the sake of a picture. It's just too hard to take care of them that way. Water level, we're at minus 0.52 feet. So at this point, it looks like it's very realistic that sometime between the end of July, first week of August, the Redbud Ramp may reach that point where they'd be closing it, which means we'll be down to just the 5th Street launching area in Lakeport and Clear Lake Oaks, Keys. I know Bob's been sending me reports, which I really appreciate. You know, he's been not sending them to me, but posting them about the launch ramps down there. So our interest in what happens this year continues, and it's going to be something. So there's your water level. I think it's a reality that for those of you, which is most of us who haven't seen it, it's going to be down to -3 before we start to see it turn around, which means another good 2.5 feet is going to disappear from here. So that's the water level, lake level. I think I told you last week, but I'll repeat it again this week, and then I'll leave it alone. I used the county park, I think 2 weeks ago, and decided after I used it that's going to be the last time I use that launch ramp until the water comes back up. I think you're okay if you're in a small boat, you know, a boat with a single axle trailer, aluminum boat, but I think if you're in any kind of a tandem axle rig, you should be thinking the same thing. There's still enough water to get in and out, you know, if nothing else by trolling motor, but you have to remember these launch ramps, they don't just go even with the road and then just go out into the lake. There's a drop off on every one of them. And you know, I heard a story from one of the ramp monitors about somebody who backed a pontoon boat into the county park and had a devil of a time trying to get it back out. So that covers that. Fishing. Admittedly, I had a tough day yesterday. We didn't start till 7 and only fished for 4 hours. We had 6 fish, two people, we had 6 fish. Probably missed another 4 or 5 fish. And one of the spots that I fished and we caught a couple fish on was a public, you know, a community hole. And I'm telling you, those fish were so beat up, I just felt sorry for them. And one of them we caught had both sides of its jaws ripped open from being on culling tag, and really skinny fish. I didn't see a whole lot of bait around there. We did catch some better fish. You know, I'll say the good news about what we caught is all but one of them were better fish. We just didn't catch that many. And it seemed like once we moved off of the community hole and started looking around, you know, we'd catch one here, we'd catch one there, and they were a little bit better shape. They had more meat on them. They looked like they'd been eating well. So, you know, we started moving around, and I think today we'll be doing the same thing. We'll probably be fishing deeper. Most of our fish yesterday came from 10 to 17 feet of water. We didn't fish any docks. Nope, sorry, we did fish a couple docks and caught a couple fish. But most of them were open water fish. So our usuals, you know, a drop shot, a small swim bait, Nico rig Cinco. Threw a shaky head around a little bit, but didn't get bit on it. But I didn't work it very hard, so didn't throw any crankbaits either. So you know, that's pretty much my report for today, this week. Seems like there was something else I was. Oh yeah, activities. Like I said last week, there's nothing coming up. You got the last 2 Saturdays of the month that you have a BBT tournaments. I'm assuming that they're going to have to go out of Lakeport as opposed to where they were going out of Redbud, but that's just an assumption on my part, so I don't know. You'll have to check with the Randy at BBT and find out which launch ramp they're using. So anyway, that's pretty much the report. I'll tell you what, I miss the summer bite at Clear Lake where we can come out and we can catch 30 to 45 fish a day. I know some people are doing it. I've seen a couple of reports where, you know, people are talking about catching 40 fish. Not me, not right now. We'll see how we do today, but getting off to a 9 o'clock start probably isn't going to help us a whole lot. So that will do it for this week. We'll talk to you next week. Behave yourselves. Go out and figure out a place to catch fish somewhere. Thanks for all the little notes too. I really appreciate it. The communication we've got down below is a lot of fun for me. So I thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.